Olena sat at the kitchen table, holding a cup of cold tea. Her gaze wandered over the familiar outlines of the apartment, children's drawings pinned to the fridge with magnets, a bookshelf she hadn't touched in years, and an old clock ticking relentlessly on the wall. It was 10 in the evening, and Tara still wasn't home. Delayed at work, he'd texted briefly. Olena sighed, set the cup aside, and rubbed her temples. Lately, these delays had become too frequent. Their marriage had lasted 7 years. They'd met at university, she, a design student, he, an economics major with a wide smile and silly jokes that once melted her heart. The early years were warm, shared trips, late-night talks, dreams of a future together. Then came Sofiyka, their 5-year-old daughter, who became the center of their world. Olena switched to freelancing to stay close to her, while Taras took a job as a manager at a logistics company. The pay was decent, but the hours were grueling, or so he said. She stood to brew more tea when she heard a key turn in the lock. Taras walked in, tossed his jacket on a chair, and gave her a fleeting glance. "You're still up?" he asked, trying to sound casual. "Waited for you," she replied softly, watching him kick off his shoes. "Late again today." "Yeah, urgent report." "Boss was on my case," he said with a crooked smile, avoiding her eyes. Olena nodded, but something tightened inside her. She noticed him slip his phone into his pocket quickly, as if afraid she'd ask to see it. Maybe it's nothing, she told herself. Maybe she was imagining problems where there were none. But as he headed to the shower, Olena approached his jacket hanging on the rack. Her fingers hesitated, then brushed the collar. There, tangled in the dark fabric, was a single chestnut hair, long, shiny, unmistakably not hers. Olena's hair was blonde, shoulder-length. Her heart pounded. She stepped back as if caught, just as Taras emerged from the bathroom, toweling his hair. "You okay?" he asked, noticing her pallor. "Just tired," she lied, turning to the stove. That night, she barely slept, lying beside Taras, listening to his steady breathing, her mind fixated on that hair. "It means nothing," she repeated to herself. But the seed of doubt had taken root. The next day, Olena dropped Sofiyka off at kindergarten. Her daughter, a small girl with curly hair and curious eyes, held her hand, chattering about drawing a sun the day before. "And the teacher said I did great." Sofiyka beamed. "Which teacher?" Olena asked absently. "Marta." "She's new, really pretty." "And nice," Sofiyka glowed. Olena smiled, but something clicked in her mind. Marta. She'd heard the name before. Taras had mentioned her offhandedly when he picked Sofiyka up last week. "New teacher, nice," he'd said. Olena hadn't thought much of it then, but now the name carried weight. At the kindergarten, she saw Marta for the first time. The woman stood by the entrance, greeting the children. She was about 25, with long chestnut hair cascading in waves over her shoulders and a wide smile that seemed to charm every parent. She greeted Olena warmly, but Olena felt a chill. Maybe it was the way Marta quickly looked away. Or maybe it was because her hair matched the strand on Taras' jacket exactly. Over the next few days, Olena grew more observant. Taras started picking Sofiyka up for chart. More often, something he'd always left to her. He explained it as wanting to spend time with their daughter, but his excuses sounded rehearsed. One evening, he returned from another, late night, with a faint sweet scent on him, unfamiliar, not her sharp citrus perfume. She said nothing, but the next day, she called her friend Christina. "You think he's cheating?" Christina asked bluntly over coffee at a small cafe near her house. "I don't know," Olena sighed. "But something's off. He's different." "Look, if you want to know for sure, follow him," Christina shrugged. "Or ask him straight up." Olena shook her head. "Ask him?" She feared the answer. But the idea of trailing him stuck. A week later, she acted. She asked Christina to watch Sofiyka after kindergarten, then followed Taras in her car. He said he was heading to a meeting, but his car turned not toward the office, but to the city center. Olena kept her distance, hands trembling on the wheel. When he parked near a small cafe and stepped out, she saw her, Marta. They sat on the terrace, laughing, Tara's touching her hand. Then he leaned in and kissed her. Olena's world collapsed. She gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white, watching her husband kiss their daughter's teacher with a tenderness she hadn't seen in years. She could have stormed over, screamed, shattered their moment, but her legs wouldn't move. It wasn't fear that held her, it was a strange numbness, as if she were watching someone else's life. They stood, Tara's taking Marta's hand, and walked to his car. Olena didn't follow, she couldn't. She drove home, fighting to breathe evenly, tears threatening to spill. The apartment was silent when she entered, Sofiyka still with Christina. Alone for the first time in ages, Olena dropped her bag and collapsed onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. Tears came quiet, unstoppable, not for Tara's, but for herself. How had she missed this? How had she let it happen? Her phone rang. It was Christina. "Hey, how's it going?" "Sofiyka's fine here," her friend chirped. "I saw them," Olena said, her voice breaking. "Who?" Christina paused. "Olena, what's going on?" "Tara's. With Marta. There, together." Silence, then a sharp exhale. "That bitch." "Sorry, first thing that came to mind." "Where are you?" "Home." "I'm coming over. I'll leave Sofiyka with Mom and be there in an hour." Olena didn't protest. She needed someone to pull her from this abyss. Christina arrived with a bottle of wine and a bag of chips, her go-to crisis kit. Olena clutched a pillow as her friend barged in. "Tell me everything," Christina demanded, setting the wine down. Olena recounted it all, the hair, the perfume, the tailing, the kiss. Christina listened, nodding occasionally, then poured her a glass. "Drink. You need it. Then figure out what's next. But one thing, he's an asshole." Olena managed a weak smile. Christina's bluntness was her lifeline. "I don't know what to do," she admitted. "I want to scream, but I'm scared. What if he leaves for her? What do I tell Sofiyka?" "You don't have to decide now," Christina leaned in. "But I talked to this Marta. Make her explain herself." Olena nodded. Risky, but she craved the truth, not from Tara's, from her. The next day, she dropped Sofiyka off at kindergarten. Her heart raced as she saw Marta at the entrance, handing out toys. Sofiyka ran to her, hugging her, and Marta smiled, genuinely, as always. Olena's anger flared. How could this woman be so kind to her daughter while tearing her family apart? When the kids dispersed, Olena approached. "Can I have a moment?" Her voice was cold but controlled. Marta flinched but nodded. "Of course, Olena. What's wrong?" They stepped into a quiet corner of the hall. Olena stared at her, her pretty face, chestnut hair, innocent eyes, and felt everything tighten inside. "I know about you and Tara's," she said softly but firmly. "I saw you yesterday. At the cafe." Marta paled, her hands clutching her sweater, eyes darting. "Olena, I don't know what to say," she stammered, but Olena cut in. "Tell me the truth. How long? And why?" Marta looked down, her voice trembling. "A few months. It started by chance. He'd pick up Sofiyka, we'd talk. He was so attentive, so alive. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Olena's voice rose, but she caught herself. "Do you realize you've destroyed my family? My daughter? I didn't want this." Marta's eyes glistened with tears. "I told him we should stop, but he what?" Olena stepped closer. "He said he was unhappy with you," Marta finished quietly. "That you'd grown apart." The words hit like a blade. Olena staggered back, the ground slipping beneath her. Marta kept talking, apologizing, explaining, but Olena tuned her out. She turned and walked to her car, hands shaking. That evening, Tara's came home. Olena waited in the kitchen, clutching a glass of water to steady her fingers. He walked in, tossed his jacket aside, and froze at the sight of her face. "What's wrong?" he asked warily. "I know," she said, meeting his eyes. "About you and Marta. I saw you. I talked to her." Taras stiffened, his face flushing then draining of color. He opened his mouth, but Olena raised a hand. Don't lie. Just tell me why. He sank into a chair, running a hand through his hair. Olena, I don't know how to explain. You're right, I messed up. But I didn't want to hurt you. Didn't want to hurt me? She stood abruptly. You kissed her in front of the whole city. You betrayed me, Taras. And Sofiyka. He stared at the floor, silent. Get out, she said quietly. I don't want you here. Taras stood, grabbed his jacket and left, the door slamming behind him. Olena sank to the floor, back against the cabinet, trembling. She cried, not from grief, but from helplessness. The silence after he left was deafening. Olena stayed on the floor, staring at the empty chair. His jacket hung on the rack, he'd forgotten it, or maybe left it as a hint he'd return. But she didn't want him back. Not yet. Maybe never. Her phone rang, jolting her. It was Christina. Olena, you okay? Her friend asked, worried. He's gone, Olena whispered. I kicked him out. Good for you, Christina exhaled. Now what? I don't know. Sofiyka's still with you. Yeah, sleeping at Mom's. I'll bring her tomorrow. Hang in there, okay? Call if you need me. Thanks, Olena hung up, her head tilting back. Tomorrow. She'd have to explain to Sofiyka why Daddy wasn't home. The thought made her sick. The next morning, she woke to sunlight piercing the curtains. Her head throbbed, eyes swollen from crying. She forced herself up, brewed coffee, and tidied herself before Christina brought Sofiyka. Her daughter burst in, holding a drawing sun and flowers in bright markers. Mommy, this is for you. Sofiyka beamed, handing it over. Olena took it, a lump rising in her throat. It's beautiful, sunshine. Thank you, she hugged her, hiding the quiver in her voice. Christina lingered in the doorway with Sofiyka's bag. She asked about Taras, she said softly as Sofiyka ran to her room. I said he's on a trip. You'll need a better story. Olena nodded. A lie wouldn't hold, but the truth was too harsh for a 5-year-old. Thanks for watching her, she said. I'll manage. Christina hugged her and left, leaving Olena alone with her daughter and the emptiness. The first days without Taras were surreal. Olena kept it together for Sofiyka, but the girl sensed the tension. One evening, as Olena tucked her in, Sofiyka asked, Mommy, when's Daddy coming back from his trip? Olena froze, blanket in hand. I don't know, sunshine, she said gently. He's busy with work. But he loves you so much. Sofiyka frowned but nodded, clutching her pillow. He doesn't read me stories anymore, she added quietly. Olena's heart clenched. She stroked her daughter's hair and kissed her forehead. I'll read to you tonight. Which story? The Princess and the Dragon. Sofiyka smiled faintly. Olena read, forcing cheer into her voice, but her mind drifted to Taras. He'd been the better storyteller, funny voices, dramatic pauses. Sofiyka adored those nights. Now he was gone, and Olena didn't know how to fill the void. A week later, Taras called. His name flashed on her screen, and she hesitated before answering. Hi, he said, soft and unsure. How are you? Fine, she replied curtly. You? I'm at Vlad's, he meant his friend's place. Olena, I want to talk. Can I come over? She wanted to say no, but curiosity, or maybe a flicker of hope, stopped her. Tomorrow evening. Sofiyka will be asleep, so be quiet. Thank you, his voice shook with relief. She hung up, pulse racing, unsure what to expect. The next evening, he arrived, looking worn, stubble, dark circles under his eyes. Olena let him into the kitchen, keeping her distance. I've missed you both, he started, sitting down. You and Sofiyka. Missed us? She crossed her arms. You didn't look like it when you kissed Marta. Taras sighed, dropping his gaze. I know I screwed up. I ended it with her, Olena. It was a mistake. A mistake? Her voice trembled. You call that a mistake? You betrayed me, Taras. Not once, over and over. How can I trust you? I don't know. He met her eyes, guilt flashing. But I want to fix this. Give me a chance. Olena studied him, seeing the Taras she'd loved, the boy with silly jokes and a warm smile. But beside him stood another Taras, the liar, the cheater. She didn't know which one sat before her. I can't decide now, she said finally. I need time. As long as it takes, he replied quickly. I'll wait. He paused at the door. Tell Sofiyka I love her, he added softly. Olena nodded, and he left, his footsteps fading. She stood in the hall, torn apart inside. She wanted to believe him, but she couldn't. Not yet. That night, Sofiyka asked about him again. Olena sat by her bed, holding her small hand. Was he here? Sofiyka asked, spotting his jacket. Yes, briefly, Olena forced a smile. He said he loves you. Sofiyka nodded. I said. Mommy, did you and Daddy fight? She asked quietly. Olena froze. She couldn't lie or hurt her. Yes, we did, she admitted. But we'll figure it out. Sleep, okay? Sofiyka closed her eyes, but Olena saw her unease. She left the room, feeling like the worst mother alive. Her marriage was crumbling, and Sofiyka was suffering too. 2 weeks passed since that night. Olena lived in limbo, waking, cooking for Sofiyka, dropping her off, working, all on autopilot, her soul lagging behind. Taras called daily, asking about Sofiyka, sometimes her, but she kept it short, offering no hope. She didn't know if she wanted him back. Sofiyka grew quieter. She stopped asking about him often, but Olena caught her pausing by his jacket, touching it, once even smelling the sleeve, searching for him. It broke her. She couldn't keep things hanging forever. A decision loomed. One evening, Taras called again. Olena, I want to see Sofiyka, he said. And talk to you. In person. Can I? She hesitated, dreading his presence, but agreed for Sofiyka's sake. Tomorrow afternoon. Don't promise her what you can't keep. Thank you, he sounded relieved. I won't let her down. He arrived the next day with gifts, a storybook and Sofiyka's favorite candies. Olena let him in, staying aloof, but Sofiyka ran to him, shouting, Daddy. He scooped her up, twirling her, his eyes glistening. She laughed, hugging him, filling the apartment with joy for the first time in ages. I missed you. Where were you? She asked, clinging to his neck. On a trip, sunshine, he stroked her hair. But I'm here now. Olena turned away, the scene stinging not from jealousy, but from knowing it was fleeting. She went to the kitchen to make tea as Taras followed. Thanks for letting me come, he said quietly sitting. I know it's hard for you. It's for her, she replied icily, not facing him. Don't think it's like before. I get it, he sighed. But I want to try. I ended things with Marta, Olena. For good. It was stupid, and I'll do anything to prove it. She set the kettle down and turned. He looked sincere, but she couldn't trust it anymore. You said you were unhappy with me, she recalled Marta's words. Is that true? Taras froze, caught off guard. Yes, I felt that way, he admitted, eyes down. But it's not your fault. I got lost, work, routine. I looked for something to feel alive again. And I looked in the wrong place. Olena said nothing, processing. She wanted to scream that he'd ruined everything with his weakness, but held back. I don't know if I can forgive you, she said at last. But for Sofiyka, you can come back. On trial. His face lit with hope. Thank you. I'll prove I can change. He moved back the next day with a small suitcase. Sofiyka danced around him, showing her drawings. Olena watched from afar, emotions tangled. She'd given him a chance, but felt no relief. His presence, his efforts, even his once familiar scent, all felt foreign. He tried hard those first days, cooking breakfast, picking up Sofiyka, starting conversations. But she answered curtly, keeping him at bay. He slept on the couch, she in the bedroom behind a closed door. An invisible wall rose between them, and Olena wasn't sure she wanted it down. One night, as Sofiyka slept, Taras joined her in the kitchen where she worked on her laptop. Can we talk? He asked, holding 2 mugs of tea. She nodded, eyes on the screen. He set a mug before her and Saturday, "I know you don't trust me," he began. "I earned that. But I realized I'd lose everything if I went to her. You and Sofiyka are my life." She looked up. His voice rang true, but her heart stayed still. "You've already lost my trust, Teras," she said softly. "I don't know if it'll come back." He nodded, lips tight. "I'll wait as long as it takes," he said. "Just don't push me away." She didn't reply, returning to work. He lingered, then left. Olena stared at the tea he'd made, feeling a knot inside. He was trying, but she couldn't force what was gone. Days later, she saw Marta at the kindergarten while picking up Sofiyka. Their eyes met, and Marta looked away fast. Olena's old hurt flared. She approached as Sofiyka ran to the car. "He's back with me," Olena said coldly. "Said he's done with you." Marta nodded, eyes down. "I'm glad," she whispered. "I didn't want this, Olena. I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it," Olena snapped and walked off. In the car, gripping the wheel, she saw Marta's remorse, but felt no peace. Teras bore more blame, yet Marta was part of the pain. Weeks passed. Teras kept his word, home every night, helping with Sofiyka, no late hours. Sofiyka laughed again, the only thing keeping Olena from ending it. But each night, lying in bed, one question haunted her. Could she love him again? Could she forget that kiss, that hair, the chill in his words? She didn't know. But for her daughter, she'd try a little longer. Olena sat at her desk, staring at an unfinished design on her laptop. Her fingers rested on the keys, unmoving. Outside, dusk settled, Sofiyka slept, and Teras scrolled his phone in the living room. He'd been home every evening lately, attentive, but the chasm between them grew. She'd let him return, but her heart stayed locked. Closing her eyes, she drifted to the past days when everything was different. Their first date, Teras took her to a tiny cafe near campus, ordered 2 coffees, and spent an hour spinning ridiculous tales about his friends. She'd laughed until she cried. He'd gazed at her like she was the only person alive. It felt like the start of something grand. Their wedding was small, just a registry office, a few friends, a party at his parents' place. Olena remembered dancing with him to an old O'Keen Elsie song, his hands on her waist, whispering she was his best choice. Those years glowed, trips to the Carpathians, all-night talks, plans for kids. Sofiyka's birth made their family perfect, or so she thought. When had it changed? She opened her eyes and glanced at her desk. An old photo lay there, the 3 of them at the sea 2 years ago. Sofiyka giggled with a sand bucket, Teras held Olena, and she smiled at the camera. She'd believed they were forever. Now, it felt like someone else's memory. She stood and went to the kitchen for tea. Her motions were rote, but her mind buzzed. Closeness with Teras had faded slowly, first small things, him coming home exhausted, her lost in projects, silent dinners. Then Sofiyka took their time, and talks turned to kindergarten, bills, weekends. She hadn't noticed when they became roommates. Did that justify his betrayal? Marta's words echoed. He was so attentive, so alive. It cut deep. Attentive? Alive? With her, he was just a tired man grumbling about work, asleep by 10. Anger boiled, not just at him, but at herself. Why hadn't she fought for them? Why had she let routine devour what they had? The next day, she met Christina at a cafe. Her friend ordered a latte, getting Olena herbal tea to calm her nerves. They sat by the window, watching people rush by. "So, how's it with Teras?" Christina asked, sipping her drink. "He's trying," Olena shrugged. "But I feel nothing. Like he's a stranger. Do you want him back?" Christina leaned in. "Not for Sofiyka, for you?" Olena paused. She asked herself this nightly, with no answer. "I don't know," she confessed. "Sometimes I think I could forgive him. Then I see him with Marta, and it all tightens up." "Listen," Christina set her cup down. "I'm no marriage guru, but if you stay out of pity or for her, it'll eat you alive. Decide what you want." Olena nodded, but the words deepened her confusion. What did she want? Once, it was clear. A happy family, a loving husband, a home full of laughter. Now, she wasn't sure it could return. That evening, she sat in the bedroom, flipping through an old album, wedding photos, Sofiyka's early years, vacations. She paused at one, Tara's lifting her by a lake, her laughter frozen, his eyes shining. She traced it with her finger, tears welling. Where had that love gone? Was it real if he'd strayed so easily? She relived learning of the affair. That day at the cafe flipped her life. Looking back, though, the cracks predated it. She recalled Tara's saying once, "You're always in your projects. I'm invisible." She'd brushed it off, thinking he exaggerated. But maybe he'd felt alone. And instead of talking, he'd turned to Marta. Closing the album, she leaned back, thoughts swirling, anger at him, pity for herself, fear for Sofiyka. She couldn't fully forgive, but couldn't deny she'd drifted too. Were they both to blame? His betrayal, though, was a choice she'd never have made. The next day, picking up Sofiyka, she saw Marta at the kindergarten. She'd avoided her since their last talk, but Marta approached. "Olena, a moment?" Her voice was faint, tired. Olena tensed but nodded. They stepped aside. "I want to apologize again," Marta said, eyes down. "I know it changes nothing, but I have to say it. I didn't mean to ruin your family. It was weakness." Olena watched her, anger clashing with exhaustion. "Why tell me this?" she asked coldly. "Because I see Sofiyka's sad." Marta looked up. "She doesn't say it, but I see. And I feel guilty." Olena's lips tightened. She didn't want Marta's guilt. It didn't heal her. But Sofiyka's sadness struck. "You don't get to talk about my daughter," she snapped. "You've done enough." Marta nodded and backed off. Olena took Sofiyka's hand and left, fury simmering. Driving home, Sofiyka said, "Mommy, Marta was sad today." Like Daddy when he left. Olena glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Her little girl saw too much. "Maybe something happened to her," Olena said gently. "But we're home now, and it'll be okay." Sofiyka nodded, but her words lingered. Olena realized she couldn't hide from the truth forever, not from herself or her daughter. Olena sat on the couch, a mug of chamomile tea in hand. Sofiyka slept. Tara's was in the bathroom, leaving her alone with her thoughts. Months of fog, Tara's return, his efforts, her struggle, clarified one thing: the past was gone. Her love for him, once warm and true, had dissolved in his betrayal's shadow. She stood and walked to the window. The city glowed outside, but she felt detached. Marta's words from the kindergarten echoed, "I see how Sofiyka's sad." They gnawed at her. She'd thought she was holding it together for her daughter, but was she? Did Sofiyka see more than Olena admitted? The next day, she went to the supermarket. Pushing her cart, she spotted Marta by the grains aisle, holding a pack of rice. Their eyes locked. Marta froze, poised to flee. But Olena decided it was time to end this. She approached, head high. "I don't want a scene," she said quietly. "Just tell me why you did it." Marta looked down, fingers twitching on the pack. "I don't know, Olena," she said, voice shaky. "He was kind to me. He listened. And I fell for him. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Olena echoed, the word hanging. "You know you're sorry. Changes nothing?" Marta nodded, cheeks flushing. "I know. I don't expect forgiveness. Just, it wasn't against you." Olena stared, then turned and left without another word. She didn't need Marta's excuses. But the encounter was the final straw. She was done carrying this burden, anger, hurt, Tara's attempts to mend what he'd broken. That evening, she waited until Tara's put Sofiyka to bed. She heard his calm voice through the wall, reading a story like old times. When he emerged, she called him to the kitchen. "We need to talk," she said, meeting his gaze. He stiffened, sensing her tone. "What's wrong?" he asked cautiously. "I can't do this anymore." Olena clenched her fists to steady them. "You came back, you're trying, but I don't feel what I did. And I won't." He shook his head, disbelieving. "Olena, I said I'd wait. We can fix this." No, we can't, she cut in. You broke something, Teras. I'm tired of pretending it's fixable. I want you to leave. For good. He reached for her hand. She pulled back. What about Sofiyka? He asked softly. Think of her. I am. She raised her voice. She deserves a mom not living a lie. And a dad who loves her, even apart. You can see her, but we're done. Teras bowed his head, lips pressed thin. After a long silence, he nodded. Okay, he said hoarsely. I'll go tomorrow. Give me a night to pack. Olena agreed and left, a weight lifting. It was hard, but right. The next day, Teras packed. Sofiyka sat in her room, drawing as he said goodbye. Olena lingered in the hall, listening. I'm leaving for a bit, sunshine, he said gently. But I'll visit soon. Promise. Another trip? Sofiyka asked, voice small. Sort of, he forced a smile. But I'll always love you, remember that. He hugged her, then faced Olena. His eyes were red, but he held steady. I'll call, he said. Thanks for the chance. She didn't reply. He took his suitcase and left, the door clicking shut. Tears rolled down Olena's cheeks, not sorrow, but release. She'd chosen. That night, she sat with Sofiyka, reading a story. Her daughter snuggled close, and Olena felt her warmth soothe her. Mommy, will Daddy come back? Sofiyka asked quietly. He'll visit you, Olena said, stroking her hair. But we'll live apart. It's better this way. Sofiyka nodded, not fully grasping it. Olena kissed her forehead, thinking time would heal them. She'd been saving money, planning a new life for herself and Sofiyka. It wouldn't be easy, but she'd manage. She'd survived the worst. Olena stood on the balcony, a warm mug of tea in hand. The evening city sprawled below, window lights, car hums, crisp April air smelling of spring. Sofiyka slept, clutching the teddy Teras gave her when he left yesterday. The apartment was quiet, but for the first time, the silence didn't oppress her. She felt light, not joy, but peace after a storm. The past year had changed everything. Teras' betrayal, that kiss with Marta, months of doubt and reconciliation attempts, it left scars, but taught her to listen to herself. She'd let him go, not in anger, but knowing love couldn't be forced back. He'd see Sofiyka, but their marriage was over, her choice. She sipped her tea and smiled, faintly, but truly. For the first time, she felt like herself again. She began planning bigger freelance projects, a new apartment near a park for Sofiyka. Her savings were a small safety net, a sign of freedom. It wouldn't be simple, raising Sofiyka alone, balancing work and home, but she'd endured worse. She knew she could do it. Sofiyka woke and shuffled out, teddy in tow. Mommy, I can't sleep, she mumbled. Olena set her mug down and lifted her. Come here, sunshine, she said, holding her close, feeling her small warmth. Look how pretty the city is. Sofiyka nestled into her shoulder, gazing at the lights. Will we be happy? She asked softly. Olena kissed her head. Yes, we will. I promise. She breathed the cool air, the shadows of the past receding. The future was uncertain, but she wasn't afraid. She held what mattered most, her daughter and her tomorrow. That was enough.